everybody. This is my 2-month update video on learning Japanese. Basically just want to talk about my progress for the last month and talk about how to make language learning seem less daunting, because at first it feels like a really big uphill battle to get started. And it can be a real struggle for a lot of people at first. So I'll get to that in a minute. But as far as progress goes, probably learned another 300 plus words. I'm getting those numbers from one of the things I'm using, Link. It's just kind of more of a estimate than it really is like a hard number. But last month I was at 350-ish, just under 350, and then this month I was like around 650-ish. So yeah, so getting in like another 300 words a month. I guess I'm gonna hopefully make that my minimum, and hopefully I can get more words every month once I kind of get more of a bearing and language intuition. But it being a level 5 language, I wouldn't imagine that there's going to be a ton of words I'm going to be able to get down every month. But progress is progress, and it's good to see those numbers grow. So I'm using Link. I'm still using pimsleur. Pimsleur's pretty good. This last month, the sentences and everything were getting a little more complex. I really like the pacing of it still. Haven't been able to, or I should say I haven't missed a day, except for like one day where I had some kind of mandatory work thing. I just could not fit it in. But as far as that goes, I mean, I haven't missed a single day. I've been doing it every single day, and I usually listen to every single lesson twice, just because I find it enjoyable, and it's good listening practice. And so Pimsleur's great. The second level of it definitely ramps up the difficulty, and I've already started the third level. But definitely recommend Pimsleur still. It's great listening practice, great way to get your bearings straight when you're first getting involved in a new language, getting some basic vocab. I'm still doing a lot of stuff from Matt versus Japan's mass immersion approach. Tons of listening, watching TV shows. I started his version of rrtk, and I'm going to probably talk about kanji in my next month's video after I've probably completed his rrtk, because I have some thoughts about that. Definitely some good ideas that he has when it comes to learning kanji, and the kanji paradox of needing kanji to learn Japanese, but needing Japanese to learn kanji. It's a paradox, but there's kind of a way to work your way through it. I'm starting to kind of see the light on how that works, just from some personal epiphanies that are happening when I'm using Link. Now, obviously, I can't read Japanese yet. I can read hiragana and katakana, obviously, but the kanji characters I can't read, but I have the romanji above it, and I'm starting to recognize characters while I'm reading from rrtk. So I don't know what to call it besides fake it till you make it. I really just I find it enjoyable to kind of read through stories and stuff on Link, and get exposed to the characters that I'm familiar with and new ones, new vocabulary, and listening at the same time. That's what's pretty great about Link is you can, most of the time the audio is synced up with the article or whatnot, and you can go through an article or a story or whatever and listen at the same time. So I find that really beneficial, and I was able to like learn a lot of new words outside of words that I've learned from pimsleur. So definitely it's gonna be interesting in another month to see how doing our remembering the kanji or his version of that with this thing I guess I'm calling fake it till you make it with the reading. I'm curious to see how that ends up happening. But yeah, with Link, I was reading their mini stories, and yeah, I'm like in the range of from story 30 to 40 or whatever, and I usually read a new one every day. But they're starting to get a bit above my head, and some of the stories kind of feel a little contrived in a way, and I find myself coming across words that seem redundant, or the sentences just seem kind of like extra, for lack of a better word. So I kind of just branched out to read some other more pulled back stuff because I feel like I've kind of hit a wall with the stories so far, because there's just some like grammar points, like real complex levels of comparisons with ownerships in them on one of the stories. So that bumping into that stuff a little too soon is just most of the stuff just goes over your head. But I usually don't worry about that stuff anyways, because I don't really get hung up on anything that I don't understand. If I didn't understand it within a minute or two of reading it, then I just move on about my day, because if you can't understand it within a couple minutes, then it's just diminishing returns of sitting there trying to figure it out. Just move on to something else. Right. So, like I said, still using pimsleur. I'm just going to ride that out to the end, 5 months, see how that works for my vocab. I read stuff on Link every day, and I just get as much listening, immersion, practice as it possibly can get while learning kanji. Seems like a lot of stuff, but I do have a fair bit of downtime at my job, and I'm able to squeeze a lot of this practice in while I'm at work. So I'm not doing like all of this at home or anything. It might be difficult for some people to kind of do this at the level that I'm doing it, just simply because of the sheer amount of time in a day that it takes. People aren't as lucky as I am to have a laid back job. But anyways, to talk about how to make language learning seem less daunting, I was thinking about it because I haven't really had that moment where I really was like, man, I don't think this is for me. I can't do it. I haven't had that moment, and I'm pretty sure most people would have had that moment by now. A couple months into it, maybe a week into it, where they just feel like it's not for them. That didn't happen for me, because I sit around and think about stuff a lot, and I don't meditate, but I have long reflective moments, and I think about things, especially when it comes to learning, because not only am I enjoying language learning, but I like learning about learning, because there's a bunch of other stuff I like to do besides language learning. But so I was thinking about it and how I make it seem, not so daunting or such a big task is when you think about languages, and even in your own native language, there's truly only so many concepts for you to express. There's a lot, there's a ton, there's a lot of things you can say, there's tons of stuff that you can say, but there is kind of on average, just for what you want to do and what you say normally, to get to a level where you're comfortable, there's only like so many concepts that really are to express, and they're not new. You can say you like something in your native language. That saying that you like something is not a new concept. So you don't have to learn a concept like when you were a kid. You don't have to learn what it is to like something. You already know what it's like to like something. So when you learn it in a second language, it's not a new concept. It's not foreign. It's the same concept. You know what it means to like something. You know what it means to go somewhere. So half of the work of learning a language is already cut out because you understand these concepts as in your native language as a full-grown adult, mostly. So when you think about it like that, that's like half of the work of what you've already done in your own language, just immediately cut out. So that's awesome to think about. You don't have to wrap your mind around any kind of weird concept. It's just you're basically learning synonyms of things that you already know. They're just in a different language. It's kind of weird to think about like that, but that's essentially what you're doing. You're just learning a new word for a concept that you already know. Sure, there are things that maybe, for instance, in Japanese, that they might express that's not exactly something that's commonly expressed in English. But it's not hard to wrap your mind around the concept. So when I think about it like that, it definitely seems less scary, and it's just more, it makes it more comfortable to spend more time with the language, because at that point you just feel like it's kind of more of a matter of time, if anything, before it really starts to set in your mind. So how do I put it? And as far as like people who have struggles with learning new things, and I remember listening to Steve Kaufman talk about this earlier today, but your path forms behind you as you walk it. You don't know how far you are until you turn around and you see how far you've been. And, learning and growing when you are right there in the now doing it, it seems imperceptible. Like, you have no idea if you're really learning anything or not. And then as the days go by, you're still only thinking about you as in now. And in that moment, since learning feels like it's not happening, you forget about all the stuff you learned. It's just kind of one of those weird things. But if you turn around and see how far you've been, you realize that all of this started with one step, on your path to learning anything. So it's really just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep moving forward with learning, because it's really a wonderful thing to just keep learning. It enriches your life, and like getting discouraged is easy and quitting is easy. It's the easy thing to do. And you got to really teach yourself to have reflective moments where you look back and you see how far you've come and you see all the progress you've made, and you should be happy with that. I experienced that with learning to play guitar. There's days where it just feels like, do I even know how to play guitar? Or with language learning, it's like, do I even know any Japanese? Do I even know a single word? There's days where you wake up and you're like, I probably couldn't say a single word in Japanese for some reason. But it's not the truth. It's just right there in the now, you can get caught up with, progress making moment by moment, instead of you being the accumulation of all the progress you've made. So it's definitely, you gotta train yourself to have these reflective moments where you look back, see how far you've come, and be happy with the progress you've made. You know, it's a lot. There's a lot of benefits into just thinking about how far you've come. Personally, that's kind of like why I like Link. It's because you got a ticker there that's like saying like, look, last month it was 300 words. This month it's 600 words. Look at that. That's 300 more words, you know. So film yourself. Keep track of your progress. But just know that, you know, the more amount of time you put into it, the more you get out of it. It's just a simple fact. That's all there is to it. All right, well, I guess that's going to be all for this pep talk of a video. I guess I'll see you guys next month with the next video. I'm probably going to talk about kanji a little more, seeing how far that goes for me. And, all right, well, I'll see you guys in the next one. See you.